So Matt Gaetz and his small group of rebel Republicans have now successfully ousted Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House. And this has led to just a complete and utter meltdown on the right, where you have all of these politicians and all of these conservative media figures. They are at each other's throats, and they are not happy by any stretch of the imagination. So sit back, relax, buckle up. We're going to go through all of it here. There's a lot to get to. So first, let's start with Ari Fleischer, who, of course, is a Republican who was in power. I believe he was in the Bush administration. Horrible guy, super far right, wrong on every economic policy, but more importantly, wrong on every foreign policy. This guy is like the neocon's neocon. So he comes out on Fox News watching this whole fiasco go down, and he says the following.
The Republican Party today just can't govern. Nancy Pelosi, with a 5-vote majority, she was able to govern. The Democrats have become the party of discipline, and the Republicans have become the party that lacks discipline.
Those are scathing comments. And remember, Fox News, their whole purpose, their whole existence is based around being the Republican Party propaganda arm. And even they cannot spin this. Even they're like, this is like amateur hour, man. This is Bush League stuff. This is absurd. Okay, I got more for you. So now we go to Chip Roy. Chip Roy was part of the pro-McCarthy faction, which, by the way, makes up over 95% of the Republican caucus. So I know you see a lot of voices who are anti-McCarthy, but that honestly, that is representative of only a tiny percentage of Republicans in D.C., and they just make a lot of noise. So it gives people a misimpression, like maybe this is a 50-50 proposition. Wrong. So here's Chip Roy. He is done with Matt Gaetz. He is fed up with Matt Gaetz. He's like, dude, what do you want? McCarthy has done everything you wanted, and you're still going after him because you're a virtue signaler, and you're a purity tester, and you just want the cameras on you, and you just want to juice your fundraising numbers, right? This is the argument Chip Roy makes. And then it gets really heated when he says the following. This is on Glenn Beck's The Blaze Network.
Come at me and call me a rhino, you can kiss my ass. Look, I've spent a lifetime fighting for limited government conservatism. I have laid it all on the line. I've not seen my family but for 2 days in the last 30 days. You go around talking your big game and you thumping your chest on Twitter. Yeah, come to my office and come have a debate, mother. You know why? Because I'm standing up for this country every single day.
Oh. So what people are annoyed at with Matt Gaetz is that, like, again, McCarthy made all these concessions. Look, they had a vote on Matt Gaetz' preferred bill, and it failed miserably. Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? Is that Kevin McCarthy's fault? And by the way, that bill was draconian and far-right and horrendous, and as you can see here, it had cuts to housing subsidies for the poor, medical research for cancer, the Social Security Administration offices, nutrition aid for pregnant moms, Head Start, the EPA, NASA, the Justice Department, toxic waste cleanup, Meals on Wheels, home heating assistance for the poor. This is what Matt Gaetz wanted. He got a vote on it. It failed, and he still spazzes out and blames Kevin McCarthy, and these guys are like, what do you want? What do you want? Okay, but now we move to the other faction. So this is Republican Congressman Tim Burchett, and he says he voted to remove McCarthy. He was part of the 3% or whatever it was in the Republican caucus that voted to remove him. But his reasoning as to why he did it is awesome. And it just shows you how unserious these people are. Watch this.
I'm sorry, but I just find this so shocking. What exactly did he say to mock your faith, sir?
It really doesn't matter. It was just a fact that I'd publicly stated on your station, I think this morning, that I was praying about it, and I had two paths to go, either go with my friend or go with my conscience, and I was praying that God would tell me what to do, which He does. You know, my daddy fought in the Pacific in the Second World War, and he talked about prayer a lot, and the Burchetts are praying people, and so I asked God to show me what the right thing to do is, and I'm not proselytizing to you. I'm not trying to save your soul, but that's the path I go down on a lot of bills. I pray for my wife. I pray for my daughter. I pray for my enemies. I pray for the speaker. I pray for this president. You know, and when things come up, I pray for his son. And as a Christian, that's what I'm supposed to do. But when someone mocks me like that and mocks my religion, and honestly, the Bible's pretty clear about God being mocked. So that's what sealed it right there for me. I said, this is not the quality or the character of person that I want as Speaker of the United States.
Yeah, I can't understand that at all. Do you expect that before you go to bed tonight, sir, that you'll have a new speaker?
I have no earthly idea, brother. I do not know that.
So he says, the reason I voted against Kevin McCarthy is because he mocked my faith. What? First of all, I have a hard time believing that. It's probably just some sort of a miscommunication, or Kevin McCarthy made a joke that didn't land well with this guy. But that's his reason for ousting the Speaker of the House? I love this. I love this. These people are ungovernable and unmanageable and are totally disorganized and disorderly. And again, look, I support it. I've been going after Matt Gaetz aggressively because what he's doing makes no sense. But also, I support it because he's just ripping the Republican Party apart. Now, by the way, you know who notices that more than anybody else? Newt Gingrich has been the most aggressive voice on this. So he wrote an article, I believe it was in the Washington Post, and he comes out and says, if Gaetz were simply a loudmouthed junior member who attacked McCarthy every day, that would be fine too. He would just be isolated with a small group of lawmakers who can't figure out how to get things done. They'd huddle together seeking warmth and reassurance from their fellow incompetents. Ooh, damn. But Gaetz has gone beyond regular drama. He is destroying the House GOP's ability to govern and draw a sharp contrast with policy disasters of the Biden administration. So he goes on to be like, well, look, Nancy Pelosi had control, and Kevin McCarthy doesn't, and the only reason he doesn't is because Matt Gaetz is an idiot. This is the argument he's making. Furthermore, Gaetz is violating the House Republican Conference rule that states the motion to vacate should only be available with the agreement of the Republican Conference so as to not allow Democrats to choose the Speaker. The agreement made when McCarthy became Speaker doesn't supersede the conference rules. Gaetz still needs a majority of the conference. Gaetz knows he can't possibly get a majority of House GOP conference to his side. He is simply violating the rules in the pursuit of personal attention and fundraising, just like Pelosi said. I served 20 years in the House, including four as Speaker. On occasion, I fought against the GOP establishment. I led the fight against President George H.W. Bush's 1990 tax increase after he broke his word about no new taxes. I felt bound to stay with my commitment to the American voters. Unlike Gaetz, though, when I rebelled, I represented the majority view of the caucus at the time. Gaetz's motion to remove McCarthy should be swiftly defeated, and then he should be expelled from the House Republican Conference. House Republicans have far more important things to do than entertain one member's ego. Damn, absolutely scathing. I got more from Gingrich for you.
96% of the Republicans voted for McCarthy. 4% voted against him. From my position as a longtime Republican activist, they're traitors. All 8 of them should, in fact, be primaried. They should all be driven out of public life. What they did was to go to the other team to cause total chaos. We ought to be focusing on Biden. We ought to be focusing on the economy. We ought to be focusing on the border. Instead, you're going to get a week or 10 days of the media focusing on Republican disarray. It's an astonishingly destructive behavior by a handful of egocentric people who think they're superior to 96% of the conference.
Oh, the girls are fighting, y'all. The girls are fighting, and they are ripping each other to shreds. Look, on the substance of it, you can't say Newt Gingrich is wrong here. Because what's Matt Gaetz' main argument? Like, oh, you're doing failure theater. Like, you haven't actually gotten anything done. And again, it's like, dude, the Democrats control the Senate, and Joe Biden is the president. None of the stuff you want to get through is going to get through the Senate. It hasn't gotten through the Senate. And even in the miracle that it did, Joe Biden would veto it. Right? This balanced budget amendment and whatever other goofy ideas he wants an up or down vote on. And everybody, all the other Republicans understand that. And Matt Gaetz doesn't understand that. And then he's mad that like, oh, you're only doing an impeachment inquiry and not an actual impeachment vote. Because number one, the evidence isn't there yet to do an actual impeachment vote. Number two, if you had the vote, it would fail miserably in the Senate and then Biden would get positive headlines. But again, he's just virtue signaling. He's virtue signaling. He's purity testing. He's trying to get his stature up and get his fundraising numbers up and get the headlines. And there was a picture of him outside of Congress from yesterday where there's like 25 reporters around Matt Gaetz putting a microphone in his face. And a lot of people are pointing out, hey, this is what he really wanted. This is what he really wanted. And so Newt Gingrich, I think, is correctly pointing out, like, you don't know what you're doing, and you're an egomaniac. And all of that is true. But again, where I depart from Gingrich is I support Matt Gaetz doing this because it's just ripping the Republicans apart internally, and it's glorious. So here I got more for you. So this is an awesome thread here of right-wing media figures who are bitterly fighting after Kevin McCarthy is removed as Speaker. So Steve Bannon jumps in. We don't need to play the video, but he's in favor of ousting McCarthy. He goes, obviously it's an incredible day, and he supports Matt Gaetz. I think he just likes the chaos overall. Tommy Lauren comes in and says, before removing a speaker, you should probably figure out what the hell you're going to do next. Otherwise, it's just more grandstanding bullshit for attention and clicks. Damn. And she said something like, establishment Republicans just want to make money. MAGA Republicans just want to become famous. I don't know which one is worse. Oh, damn, son. Then we have somebody floated Representative Tom Emmer as a possible replacement. And immediately you had a bunch of right-wing media figures say, no, not pure enough. Nobody's pure enough. This person says, Emmer played a central role in sabotaging MAGA in 2022. Only stupid dumbasses would support going through this all over again, meaning we can assume most Republicans will likely line up behind him. Michael Savage is going after Fox News. He's, of course, an old school, one of the worst right-wing radio hosts. MAGA wins, McCarthy loses. Fox News and other deep staters stunned by the loss. Then you have Fox host and former Trump press secretary Kayleigh McEnany chimed in and said, hey, this is ill-advised. She says, number one, Democrats always stick together, Republicans do not. The chaos is a manifestation of not having a red wave. A narrow majority means that a few have power to overtake the whole. The more conservative continuing resolution with spending cuts and border funding failed, and instead we got a worse bill. McCarthy out could mean a Dem-leaning speaker voted on by all Democrats and just a few moderate Republicans. A quest for perfection can backfire. Tim Pool jumps in, and he's excited. I guess he's taking the side of Matt Gaetz. Conspiracy theorist and Fox News contributor Molly Hemingway is straddling the fence on it. Laura Loomer chimes in and says, victory! Today is a great day for MAGA and a major blow to the Uniparty. John McCain's daughter, Meghan McCain, chimed in and hates Matt Gaetz. I didn't realize we all collectively voted Matt Gaetz president of Congress, Senate, and all American politics, so we are all just at the mercy of his whims and tantrums. Hugh Hewitt chimes in and calls to expel from Congress the 8 who voted to vacate McCarthy. See, look, this is what I'm saying. They're all over the place. Janine Pirro is pissed off on Fox News. Let's see what she has to say. She's always fun because she's drunk all the time.
I'm furious. First of all, we're without a speaker. This is historic. Something like this hasn't happened in well over 100 years. And now what we've got is total chaos when the Republicans are playing out their infighting on national television in a historic way instead of fighting Joe Biden's policies. The one time we are up in virtually every metric as it relates to the Biden administration, you've got the Republicans going out there and showing how dysfunctional they are as Matt Gaetz is engaging in fundraising. And I got to tell you something. I am furious. There's no question that this is something that they have been trying to do for almost 9 months that McCarthy's been Speaker. And the truth is that they've done a lot in Congress. They've gotten a lot of bills passed. The fact that the Senate doesn't want to take them. They've done a lot in terms of oversight. And, you know, now you've got the Democrats. This is the crazy thing. Democrats who hate the MAGA Republicans are now joining with the MAGA Republicans to oust Speaker McCarthy. This is like the devil is in the middle of all of this chaos. And Donald Trump is right. Why are the Republicans fighting with each other like this?
Well, first of all, according to Matt Gaetz, Trump actually sort of gave him a nod of approval. He said, I talked to Trump and, you know, there was an implication there of like, yeah, homie supports this. It's fine. So the idea that Trump's like, hey, he did come out and say, why are Republicans always fighting each other? But it's like, you also do that. And you also rip Republicans on a daily basis. What are you talking about? This is exactly what we would expect from you. And this is the kind of party that you would be the leader of. But yeah, what's amazing is, and I pointed this out to you guys a million times, Matt Gaetz and Kevin McCarthy don't actually substantively disagree on anything. All of those individual bills that Matt Gaetz wants to get through, Kevin McCarthy does too. The difference is Kevin McCarthy understands it's impossible with a Democratic Senate and a Democratic president to get those through. That's the difference. And, you know, McCarthy's saying, oh, what you're doing is failure theater. And the reaction is like, they know it's failure theater, but they have no other option but to do theater because an impeachment attempt would fail. Again, this is the difference. It's like McCarthy more understands reality and Matt Gaetz doesn't, and he wants to be a virtue signaler and a purity tester. All right, then we have Sean Hannity chimes in. I guarantee you Democrats are doing backflips. They're loving this. I quote Donald Trump, why? So people are all over the map on this. Doug Collins, this guy, I guess, is a Newsmax host. This is where the yellow brick road ends. I don't even know what that means. This is a shot across the bow of the status quo. I'm like, what are you talking about? I've never seen a more clear example of an exact 50-50 split on the right. They are ripping each other to shreds. And look, just soak it all in, man. Enjoy it. Because they look so dumb. They look so unserious. They look so pathetic. They look so much like they just want the adulation of the base, Gaetz does, and, you know, reality be damned. And again, I just love it. I just love it. What I always say about Gaetz is it's not like he's a rebel without a cause. He's a rebel with a cause. But as I pointed out, the cause is stupid. The cause is giant cuts to like Head Start and school funding and home heating assistance for the poor and baby formula for babies. You know, the cause is like, we will have an up or down vote on a balanced budget amendment. And like, he's willing to rip them to shreds over this. Pfft, by all means, son, proceed.
Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.